Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Chevron 1, loaded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry hammer, and let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2 is loaded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's all in the reflexes.
Well, also said you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Now, provide you can, monkey boy.
Great Scott.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass! I thought I'd die fighting side by side with Al.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Hail and howdy, everybody. Welcome back to Saturday Night Drive-In Christmas Edition. Because whether you like it or not, tonight's movie is a Christmas movie. It takes place in Christmas. Everything is revolving around the build-up, and a lot of the actions and events are happening because of Christmas. And God damn, F this movie. Oh man, Jed knew exactly what he was doing.
I didn't actually. I thought it would be fine. I didn't think you'd love it, but I thought you'd just be like, "Yeah, it was a movie. I'll forget about it." I
hated this movie because I like one person, maybe two, in this movie. I hate everybody else, either because they're horrible people or their stories are absolutely worthless.
I will give you one story that was absolutely worthless and should have been cut out. That's how much I can give you.
I could think of a couple. Even though I like the people in that one, it's a worthless story. All right, does he even guess the one? All right. Jed, walk us into this before we start going crazy.
All right. Well, we're going to be discussing Love Actually from 2003, starring a shitload of A-list stars and soon to be A-list stars. There's a lot of unknowns who were initially starring in this movie who went on to great things that have become household names, like Keira Knightley, like Chiwetel Ejiofor, if you know anyone can pronounce his name, and Andrew Lincoln from The Walking Dead. There's a lot of people who really got, I don't know if they got their starts here necessarily, but they went on to do great things. But the story is about this group of people in London, all kind of connected through different ways. It's more 8 independent stories that briefly kind of touch each other sometimes, going through the 5 weeks leading up to Christmas. And the point of the film is in the title, Love Actually. As Hugh Grant says in the opening of the film, love actually is all around. And now I know we're going to talk about the actual storylines, but I love this film. I love it a lot. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies. It's one of the ones like A Wonderful Life and the Doctor Who Christmas specials that I have to watch every year at Christmas. It's on my must-watch every year list. And it's because of that message that Hugh Grant spells out at the beginning, that love actually is all around. The world's always trying to be so nihilistic, say, hey, everything's terrible. Everyone hates each other. Don't trust anyone. Don't go outside. The world's going to end. But this film was just like, no, it'll be all right. it's going to be all right. And I think that exemplifies the Christmas spirit. And that's why I love this film, is it's implicitly positive. And that's kind of the
allowed
point.
a
is all
guilty
these-
pleasure.
It's definitely a guilty pleasure. I get made fun of this all the time.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that people make fun of me more for is being a fan of Gilmore Girls. But this is
Well, I'm
pretty
there
high
with you, but we've had that discussion plenty of times. I will side you on that one. I will
Thank
always
you.
back you up on that one. But hail and howdy to the chats. We're happy to have you guys here on this Saturday evening. We hope you enjoy this live or on the replay. All right. Can you guess who's the only character I actually like, whose story is positive and fun?
It's really difficult to say based on you. My guesses would be either Liam Neeson or Colin Firth. Those would be my two guesses. Neither.
Collins Firth is worthless. His story is worthless, and it makes no sense.
What?
We'll get back to that one. No, my favorite one is, and I just suddenly forgot his freaking name because there's so many names. I'm trying to organize my head. He played Davy Jones in Pirates.
Bill Knightley.
Bill Nighy's character. He's the best guy. He's the best one. He's the best one. There's nothing negative about it. He is just a dude. He's a old rock pop star who doesn't give a shit. He's there just to try and get one last hurrah and milk it for all it's worth. And he's the only honest person in this entire movie.
He's brutally honest.
And I love it. Bill Nighy's character, the rock star, he is it, and every time he's on the scene, it's just fun. And he follows through at the end where he gets naked when he does the thing. He's having fun, and his ending is kind of nice. Is hey, yeah, after I was surrounded by beautiful women at Elton John's party and probably a lot of other gay dudes there as well, I decided to go back and spend Christmas with my real family, my best friend. Let's get
the manager's line there. 5 minutes at Elton John's house, and you're gayer than a whatever he said.
Yeah, I mean, so Bill Nighy's one is the character the only one I honestly like and enjoy his whole story. Everybody else is either rotten, boring, or worthless. I mean,
I very much disagree with that.
Dude from Walking Dead and Keira Knightley are horrible people.
It's going to make it so much worse when I tell you she was 17 at the time when they filmed this movie, and it wasn't like a version of like that 70s show where the actress lied or something. No, she was told they were looking for a 17-year-old. It was the point that she be 17. So I don't know how to take that positively.
I mean, she still looks like Keira Knightley, so she looks the same.
She hasn't aged much since then.
Yeah. Keira Knightley has aged very well over the years. She's like a new show or something, and I caught a quick clip of it someplace recently. I was like, okay, she looks fine. Keira Knightley still looks Keira Knightley. She looks hot. So I mean, she was 17.
She was 17.
Is her character 17?
I mean, since they were looking for a 17-year-old, I imagine.
But
so,
Okafor, what is he in his 30s in this movie?
Him and Andrew look quite a bit older than her. I don't know why they did that.
I mean, I thought she was
I would have at
in her
least cut
20s.
the kiss. I would have cut the kiss if it was a 17-year-old happened to be a 17-year-old. The kisses, or both of them.
Our British friends can probably clarify this. I believe the age of consent is a little.
I'm sure it's legal, but it's still weird, is what I mean. Like I would have cut it for weirdness' sake.
Yeah. Since it is a worldwide release, this isn't just living in as a movie in England. But I mean, it's not. I don't think it's illegal there, but I didn't know. I wouldn't have known she was 17 or the character is 17 if you hadn't told me. I wouldn't know.
And there's another piece of trivia with her character. It's pretty funny. That scene where she watches the wedding tape and realizes that the best man's in love with her. You know, that hat that she was wearing? She was wearing it because she had a massive zit on her forehead that the makeup team could not remove. Apparently, she was in the makeup chair for over 5 hours trying to get rid of it. And then
we've been there. We've all been there. Where it's like right here, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, I had had moderately bad acne when I was in high school and into the
and she was probably still in high school too.
Yeah, so I can get that. And I went on a trip once, and I had just this big black mark right here on my forehead because I had just gotten rid of a really nasty one, and it didn't go away in time. So I'm walking around for a few days with this giant thing. It was dead. It wasn't an active zit anymore, but it was ugly as hell. And I'm a guy, so I'm not going to cover it in makeup. I mean, gotta love it. Mother always goes, well, you could put some makeup, some cover up. Like, are you really? No.
That's worse.
Not putting makeup on because you get close. It's one thing if you come up close to a girl's got cover up on there, that's acceptable. Women use makeup. But you get up close to a dude, it's very obvious that there's makeup covering your shit. Oh, wow. Okay. We might as well do that one first since I have such a visceral reaction to it. So explain.
You kind of have to go storyline by storyline in this film.
Yeah. So explain to us the Keira Knightley, Okafor, and dude from Walking Dead one.
All right, so the storyline starts out with the wedding between Keira Knightley and Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, where Andrew Lincoln, the star of The Walking Dead, is the best man. It's a normal wedding. Several of the other characters, this is how they're connected. They were at the wedding or were waiters at the wedding, at the reception later on. Wedding happens, going down the aisle. The best man does some crazy over-the-top musical number that I would feel uncomfortable with. The choir in the back's fine, but I
was cringe as hell.
The orchestra in the audience was too much. I imagine the wedding guest for the guest list for this big of a wedding. Like, this is an expensive wedding, especially what we see at the reception later. They'd be pretty aware of who's invited and who's not. So there's 30 people who weren't invited just sitting around. I think someone would have taken notice. But the storyline progresses with, throughout the reception, the wedding, the best man is recording the bride a little bit too closely, a little bit obsessively whenever someone's not looking. And then we find out that the husband and the bride actually thought the best man hated Keira Knightley this whole time.
Yeah.
And there's always curt comments between the two of them. He always tries to avoid hanging out with her. And it's revealed when she comes to look for the wedding tape that he took that he's in love with her. And she figures it out because it's all close-ups of her. The entire wedding tape is just close-ups of her. She feels bad, thought he hated her the whole time, whatnot. And then it culminates in the best man knocking on his best friend's door. She answers, and he tells her how he feels while playing a Christmas Carol CD with these cards. It's kind of a cute moment until you think about what he's actually doing. And he walks away. She runs after him and kisses him, and that's that storyline.
And he goes, "That's enough. That's enough." But I despise it because, you know what? Even though she found out from the video, you don't do that. You don't try and cuck your best friend like that.
I think there are definitely problems with that storyline. I like the characters and the actors, mainly because of the actors' performances.
Well,
but a few changes would have made it better. Like, have her kiss him on the cheek. Don't actually kiss him.
Right there, that you're on the line of cheating right there, or at least, and that's, or setting up that she might do it. And you just said something that I want to clarify overall for this. My criticisms are about the stories in this and the characters. All my points, all my positivity, all my goodwill for this movie are for the performances of the cast, because everybody does a great performance. I'm going to bitch and moan for the next 45 minutes, but it's not about the performances. Everybody does a great job. The production value is great because it's clearly shot on site. I mean, that's England. It's England. So I have no problems with any of that. It's the characters and the stories that I despise. Because these are unlikable people. 90% of them are unlikable. Completely unlikable. And we started with the most unlikable are those two.
Yeah.
Okafor, he's just a dumb idiot. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, he has no character whatsoever. He's just kind of there to be cucked. And that storyline, I think, has some of the most issues. It's not the one that I would cut. I would tweak it. Like saying, don't actually kiss him, because that might, reignite it further, thinking he has a chance or something, make it worse.
But what kind of story are they telling right there?
A lot of infidelity or near infidelity in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of near infidelity. You're exactly right. But before that, let's go to the one that I think could have been cut completely, even though these are I have no problem with these two characters. Basically, the porn stand-ins.
I love those characters. They're so sweet. While they're doing the most, they're very nice people, and I kind of like their little self-contained romance. Like, this is one of the most awkward things you could do for a living, and they still find a way to connect. And they're not talking about sexual things while they're being sex.
No, they're being normal. It's just normal
it's
chit
just
chat.
really cute, and I like the storyline. It doesn't affect any of the others. It barely connects with the director, but I do like it. It's very heartfelt for me. I find it cute.
I mean,
despite all the nudity.
Yeah. Hey, listen. I think I've only ever seen this edited on like cable TV. So the nudity surprise was like, oh, titties.
Quite a bit of titties from those two.
Yes, quite a bit. So and I'm trying to just god damn it. What's going on here? God, stupid freaking here we go. Wrong button. I just wanted to get the right name because there's so many names, they're all bumping around in my head that every time I want to say one, I lose one. The dude who was in that, he was Frodo.
Martin Freeman.
He was Bilbo. Thank you. Yeah. Bilbo, you're Bilbo. You know what I mean? Yeah, Martin Freeman. He's fine. His character, I have no problems with his character either. He's just a dude who happens to who works in a really strange section of that industry where he's the stand-in.
It's a real section.
And clearly there's like no mystery between the two of them. They see each other completely naked, but they somehow still find a way to connect.
It's really,
and that's nice.
Really cute.
And it's
cute.
And
I love his line at the end of the movie when they announce that they're engaged. She goes, maybe I'll finally get to shag her.
Yeah. I mean, so it's funny. But as far as all of the other ones, because apparently at the final scene, Keira Knightley's related to Colin Firth.
Yeah, a lot of them are related in surprising ways.
But there's no connection of Colin Firth to anybody until that moment, or to somebody else early on when he. We'll get to that one in a second. So, but Martin Freeman's character doesn't really connect to anything else except
he's connected to the
photographer who's friends with the horny guy
who worked at the wedding.
Fuck that guy. I hate him.
I think that the scene in America is pretty funny. Like, oh yeah, 4 women in a Wisconsin bar immediately jump the bones.
Bunch of chicks that hot in the middle of Wisconsin.
It's January fucking Jones.
Yeah, and I've seen and a lot of some of those chicks also are used as I've seen them used in that era of television and movies. They portrayed supermodels in some of those. So I mean, it's like
it's meant to be a joke.
I know, but it's screw you. And then he bags Shannon Elizabeth at the end of the movie, and brings along Denise Richards when she was still hot. What the hell? American women. The movie says American women are whores. That's what the movie says. American women are whores.
It's not a very pro-American movie between
it is not.
And the president storyline.
Billy Bob Thornton's president. And one thing I always appreciate is fictional presidents in movies. I like it when they do that because it allows you to divorce yourself from the current era and allows for escapism entertainment. Yeah. I appreciate that. But making him a horn dog, they're going after Natalie, who is not fat, by the way. She's perfectly fine.
No, I don't understand that at
I don't understand that. I would definitely, leap over a bed to get at her every time. So there's no problem there. I don't get that. But having him hit on her just so you can have Prime Minister Hugh Grant suddenly grow a pair. I don't. All right. So moving, where do you want to go next? Because we mentioned Colin Firth.
We can do Colin Firth next.
Okay, Colin Firth, and what was she? Portuguese,
living in France.
Living in France. What?
I related to that story a little more than a lot of the others because of the writing aspect of it. I like the idea of, an author working on this, going to a strange land. It's a classic.
A jilted author.
Jilted author. He's the one person who actually is.
It was his brother who was effing his wife.
Oh, I hate that scene at the beginning. Well, I don't I love to hate it.
I know
when he says his goodbyes to his wife in the morning before he's going to go out Christmas shower to the wedding, and she's sick, and he's being all lovey-dovey with her, and it's like, I will always kiss you no matter how gross and sickly you get. And then he comes back a few hours later and she's banging his brother. I just hate her so much. That's the one actual infidelity storyline. A lot of the other ones get close, but his is the only one that actually deals with it directly.
Now, I don't disagree with you. It's a sweet story of falling in love, but that could be an entire movie all its own, and it barely gets any time, and it doesn't get a lot of a lot of the other ones get a lot more meat to them. And that one gets no meat. They have a lot of awkward interactions while he's writing, and that's the foundation for him falling in love. And she leaves, and he spends 3 weeks learning Portuguese so he can go down there and get kissed by her dad on the lips. I mean,
there are a few endings that really pull up my heartstrings. The ending with Liam Neeson and Colin Firth ending are the ones that really get me emotionally invested at the end of the film. I love the proposal scene. It doesn't make sense. They can't even speak the same language and they're already getting engaged, but just the way it's portrayed is so...
But it's a whole other movie.
They're wasted. All short films. They're all short films.
Yeah.
But that's the point of the film. So one thing that I would normally criticize in films like this is the rampant amount of coincidences. I'm still going to make fun of some of them, like the airport scene. Love the airport scene at the end of the film, but them all coming in at the same time and the prime minister flying commercial doesn't make sense. There are coincidences that are taken too far, but the fact that all these storylines are interconnected, I don't see as a coincidence because of the nature of the film. The idea is
London's small.
London's very small. It's so small. It's not a big city at all. But the idea is that love is actually all around, that everyone has stories like this. So it's not, just these people happen to have interesting stories on Christmas. The movie's trying to say everyone is having stories like this. And that's the upbeat nature of the film. So the fact that they're all interconnected, I don't see as big of a problem with, because of
it's not one of my complaints.
I know. It's just one that I've seen before.
Sometimes for me, it's the randomness or the final telling us that they're connected is just okay. You had, like I said, Colin Firth being, what is she, Keira Knightley's uncle or something? I guess, I don't know.
Well, he acted like he was friends with the
somebody there.
Yeah,
so, connected to that because he went to the wedding. That was so flimsy. It's not the randomness, it's the flimsiness of it sometimes that it's like,
sometimes it's better just to leave them disconnected.
It in there. It would have been better if you see them people walk by each other and not have it. Like when Prime Minister Hugh Grant's going to find Natalie and it's Hori's secretary who's her neighbor. I mean, okay,
just tertiary. It is fine. I agree that some of them didn't need to be connected in the flimsy ways that they were. Like the one scene with Liam Neeson and Emma Thompson at the beginning of the film is very confusing. You think they're related, maybe, but they're not. They're just friends through their kids going to the same school. Never interact again.
Yeah, I thought
so. It's stuff like that I don't think is necessary. We already got connections through the school play and the airport at the end, and the point of the film isn't that they're all connected. It's that everyone's having these stories. So I do agree. This film, I don't think is a great
Either do it or don't. Either do it or don't. Yeah.
Either do it or don't. I do have to say, I don't think this is a great film. My score is going to be lower than people think. I just love the characters and the heartfelt nature of it. I always get emotional near the end of the film, but the plot is ridiculous. The plot is insane. I will not argue that the plot is bananas.
Well, it's 8 plots is the thing. Is what it is. It's 8. There's no through line except Love Actually. There's no through line except
they sometimes are at the same place at the same time.
Or I guess you're either going to be miserable or happy, or pretend to be happy while you're miserable, like with
Emma Thompson,
and Alan Rickman. That first of all, Alan Rickman always great. But he had one really good scene, and that was with Rowan Atkinson.
Oh, yeah. And it's because of Rowan Atkinson that was a great scene, not because of Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
I do want to add on. I've seen films like this before where it's like a bunch of different storylines flimsily connected, and I've never liked them before. When I was first watching Love Actually for the first time, I didn't like the movie most of the way through. I despised it for the first 3 quarters because every time I've seen one of these movies, they're not connected at all. Like there's one, I don't know if you've seen God's Not Dead, but
No.
it's another movie like this where there's a ton of disconnected stories, but they're even more disconnected. Like the characters don't meet except for they all randomly go to the same concert at the end. That's it. That's the connection. And I hate that aspect of it. This one was a lot more interwoven and to a further degree, and the point of the story connected a lot more. The fact that I was able to get over that, and the endings. I love the endings to the majority of these storylines. So it was at the end, like when Liam Neeson's storyline wrapped up, that I was like, oh my God, I love this movie. I don't hate it anymore.
Oh,
so I can understand why there's a big divide between people who watch it. Either you love it or you hate it. It's very much a movie you love or hate.
Carried by its performances is what it is.
Absolutely.
And I can be objective and say the performances are all great, but then my subjective side says I'm miserable watching these people. So let's talk Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson, who is the sister of Prime Minister Hugh Grant. At first, when everybody's introduced, you don't know they're married, and when Slut Secretary is hitting on Alan Rickman, I thought, oh, he's not married. He's going to have an affair with somebody in the office, and that's what it's going to be like. But then, at one point, we're at home. I was like, oh, okay, they're married, or are they divorced? And he's visiting because of the kids. No, they're full on married.
Yep,
full on married, and shame on him.
Yeah, he's one of the worst characters, not in performance, but like
no,
I think he's the worst person maybe in the film
because
of the main characters.
He's
not likable.
He's not like he's likable up until Christmas shopping.
Yeah,
when at that point he's resisting, and it's like, okay, keep resisting, be a man, don't cheat on your wife, don't even look. And she even says to him, she's dangerous. Be careful with her. And then he resists, but then he calls Slut Secretary and decides to buy her the necklace.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then now the scene with Rowan Atkinson, that's a brilliant scene because it's just pure. What's good tagline to type of comedy it was? I can't think of a good one. I want to say
I wouldn't call it slapstick.
No, it's not visual. It's Rowan Atkinson putting on an overly performative gag act for the skit, and it worked. And and he's just there for a minute, and it's Rowan Atkinson doing Rowan Atkinson shit.
Well, there's actually a theory with this character, and I want to see what you think. So, did you catch his scene later on in the movie? He's in the movie twice.
Probably not.
In the Liam Hemsworth story, Liam Neeson storyline, the Liams, man, when they're trying to get into the airport, his son's trying to get past airport security, and that guy walks up and is like messing with his bags and it taking too long, giving the kid the chance to slip past the ticketing agent. That's Rowan Atkinson. And after he lets the kid go through, he's like, oh, I must have forgotten my ticket back at my car. And he turns around and he winks at Liam Neeson. So the assumption is he saw Liam Neeson talking to the security guy saying, just let my kid go through. It's for true love, whatever. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to help these folks. He distracts him, lets the kid through and walks away. So the theory is that he was able to figure out through, because he's a very perceptive character, that he was able to figure out what Alan Rickman was doing and did all that just to prevent him from cheating on his wife. That he was able to figure because you don't put a loose bag in a box. As soon as the box came out, it's like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. The rest of it I could buy, but
he had all that stuff there, so it's clearly a thing that is done at that station with all.
The box could be for other things, but the idea that he's going well above and beyond, and going very slowly just to prevent him from buying this to try to help. I can accept
that. Since I have no stake in any of this, I will accept that theory. I will accept that, and I totally missed that. I granted at that point in the movie, I'm going like this a lot. Other screen, waiting for it to be over. So Alan Rickman, Emma Thompson, that's just bad. Shame. And it's miserable that she now just will accept a loveless marriage for the rest of her life. That's horrible. That's just horrible.
Well, the implication at the end of the film was that they were working through it, so it might be okay. Because he never actually cheated. He never actually cheated.
No, but intent was enough for her to never to change it forever for them, and she made it clear because the look on her face when he comes home in the airport in that movie is, yeah, hi, welcome back. Okay, kids, let's go. They're keeping the family together for the kids, and they put on a good old stiff upper lip British front, but it turned into a loveless marriage, and that at least that's my take on it, and I find that miserable for a part of an ending of a Christmas movie. I don't like that.
Well, that's why I kind of think it is that they're working through it because of the happy, upbeat ending that everyone else is going through.
I guess I didn't like it. So through Alan Rickman, let's go to chick with the demented brother.
Okay, this is the storyline that I mentioned that I think needs to be cut. The problems I have with some of the other plot lines, I think can be fixed with tweaks, like having Keira Knightley kiss him on the cheek. That nearly fixes that storyline. But hers, there's just not a whole lot of redeeming qualities from her storyline. It's just she wants to sleep with this dude, but she can't because she's too obsessed with helping her brother.
It's as though she loves her misery more than finding happiness.
And
it's
a self-fulfilling prophecy with her.
And we're supposed to feel happy when she visits him at Christmas and they're hugging. No. She's and they just kind of drop her storyline. They just drop it. It's like, oh, one last conversation in the middle of the night in the office, and that's it. Not, hey, let's try again, or maybe him saying, listen, I want to make this work. I like you. I know you got a thing with your brother. Why don't I work a little harder to help you? But no, I'm going to be happy in my misery and without human touch or affection, other than a brother who's capable of winding up and punching her.
No, he's a violent case. He shouldn't have access to a phone.
No.
Shouldn't be left alone in the room with her like he is.
Yeah, I mean,
he shouldn't be given a scarf.
Yeah,
if you're that unstable,
that scene, she's alone there in him. Now, obviously, she's prepared for it because her reflexes were quick and she caught it. But the dude's in the freaking closet talking to another chick. There should be somebody standing behind, an orderly, right there.
I don't like that storyline. It's the one that I actively dislike.
It accomplishes nothing.
That
story, I listen, Martin Freeman's storyline may have also accomplished nothing, but at least it's sweet. This is an empty hole of misery that doesn't belong in a Christmas movie where everybody, as you said, from a certain perspective, at least maybe they're trying to have a happy ending in. She has no ending.
No, I don't even think she's in the airport scene.
No, she's not. No, she's not.
Yeah, she's a pointless addition to the film. I don't know if they wanted more American representation or something. I don't know.
That was a miserable storyline, and I
agree. I will not argue that storyline. It should not be there.
Yeah. Let's see. Where are we? We're saving Hugh Grant for last, and we'll do that one last. Where do we go from here? Who have we not mentioned?
Well, we've done the rock star, we've done the author, we've done the wedding, we've done the guy who goes to America, we've done the porn people.
Liam
Neeson.
I guess all we have left. Oh, Liam Neeson. We haven't done Liam Neeson. Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't done. We jumped around. All right. First of all, it took me. I feel like they took too long to let us know that he was a stepdad and it wasn't his son. Because at one point he says stepson. I heard that correctly, didn't I?
Yeah. He's the stepson. They mentioned it a few times. I think it was at the wedding they mentioned. I mean, the funeral. Excuse me, the funeral they mentioned.
I must have missed it.
There are little references to it, but it's not really till the end of the film when he meets that hot chick that he
Claudia Schiffer. Literally Claudia Schiffer. It's like, well, she gave me an out if I ever ran into Claudia Schiffer. Oh, this mom of this other girl in the class. It's Claudia freaking Schiffer, yet not Claudia Schiffer.
I don't know who Claudia Schiffer is, so I wasn't appreciating of that as much as you.
Oh, okay. No, that was Claudia Schiffer. Claudia Schiffer at the time was the end of her reign, one of the top supermodels of the world.
Okay.
I've
never followed supermodels, so I
okay. I followed them very closely throughout my young life when there were supermodels. There are no supermodels anymore as a thing.
No.
Back in the late 80s, early 90s, and into the end of the 2000s, supermodels with their posters on the calendars, they were essentially our porn when we couldn't get our hands on porn.
Well, supermodels these days. I mean, every actor, every sports person, everyone's a model these days. So yeah,
but
it's
back then Cindy Crawford, Kathy Ireland, Claudia Schiffer, those were supermodels. These were the most beautiful women in the world. Every kid, every red-blooded, horny teenage male had their post. I had a Cindy Crawford. I had like one particular Cindy Crawford poster just lived above my ceiling. Then another one, she was a calendar. Then I had Kathy Ireland. I mean, that's that's the road I went down. I was a Cindy Crawford and Kathy Ireland simp when I was in my teenage years. But you know, Claudia Schiffer was there. There's a whole laundry list of names. But that was the thing, supermodels. And Claudia Schiffer was one of the most successful ones, one of the most recognizable ones. And that's the joke of the movie, that he runs into this mom at the end, and it's basically his hall pass, for lack of a better term. Claudia Schiffer was hall pass, and she looks like Claudia Schiffer, therefore, yay.
I mean, he's fine since she's dead anyway, but it's kind of cute.
I mean, all right. So my only problem with that one is I find, maybe it's because I'm older at this point, I find children-oriented stories in adult movies cringe,
really,
and difficult to enjoy. I mean, listen, that is exactly what a kid his age is going to think, as we all know. I'm never going to feel like this again. She's going to be this and that, but also, man, they went above and beyond for that kid.
Everyone did. But this is actually my favorite storyline in the film. It's the one that gets me the most emotional. It's the one that I just enjoy this one. I always have to smile through all of it. The chemistry between Liam Neeson and the actor who plays his son, who's actually in Doctor Who. There's several Doctor Who actors in this movie.
Oh, yes.
It's just so natural. The way they play off each other, even swearing at each other, the jokes that they make to each other. It's clear that they have a very great rapport, which makes the fact that he's his stepdad even more impactful.
Well, that's a cool thing, because it's essentially one of those found family type of things, or close to that, where they are essentially all they have in each other's lives at this point, without the mom. One who is madly in love with her, and the other one, it's his mom. And it's fun. What I do find interesting in the story is that the kid is not depressed over his mom's death because he's in love with a girl. And, you know, hey, listen, I think that's a great coping mechanism.
Yeah, I definitely think that was the point of it.
If that's how you're going to soften the blow of having literally the most important person in your world gone at that age and that point in your life, and you don't even have your real dad, it's your stepdad, who while you have a good buddy relationship with, it's
not your dad. Yeah,
it's not your dad. I find that as far as the storytelling mechanic goes, I appreciate that, and I think that's good, because
it's good dad story.
Yeah,
we don't get enough single dad stories.
No one wants to see a depressed kid about his mom on Christmas. No one wants to see that. So the fact that they took it that way is fine. Now, the fact that they have him wanting to goon over a girl his age, that's fine. But it's just, I don't want to know this with little kids. I just don't.
I mean, they're not going to do anything.
I know. It's hard for me to.
Yeah, it might be easier for me because I was only recently his age with crushes like he's referring to, so I might be able to relate to it a lot more because I remember very recently being that kid. I was that kid, hopeless. I was a hopeless romantic kid.
Oh, my memories are rock solid. I remember all my failed crushes at that age. Every single heartbreaking one of them, either the ones I screwed up myself or did stupid shit because I was completely unself-aware of what to do and what not to do, either in public or this and that. So I understand it. It comes back to my point of seeing a child storyline stooped into the middle of a lot of adult situations in an adult movie. It makes it difficult for me to really latch onto it, is the thing. That's my primary thing.
I think the most unrealistic part of it, going into that, like it's a kid, not an adult, is You don't watch Titanic at that age. I don't know any 8-year-old kid who likes Titanic, even if it's edited. Let's say it's edited.
Yeah, we have to say it's edited because we know what Titanic brings to the table.
But I don't know any kid who enjoys Titanic at that age. I can't think of a single one who would.
Now, I did not remember that scene, but as soon as you said we need Leo and Kate, I said, no, you are not about. Oh no,
I don't like Titanic, so that might be me.
I despise that movie.
I really don't care for it.
Listen, that's one of those movies in high school where it's, hey, let's all watch this, and half the girls at the party where we're all watching it are unattached, but why am I here? Why are 3 or 4 of us who do not have girlfriends at this party? We are getting no benefit from watching this god-awful, at the time, 2 VHS long movie. This is still during VHS era.
I remember seeing the 2 VHS versions. I never watched the movie at that age, but I had seen the actual tapes themselves, and it's just so long. It's not made for kids, besides the tits, which might be the best part of the film. But I mean, I don't see a kid going, I need to get over a heartbreak with Titanic. I see is completely unbelievable. I don't know if there's a better film that they could have chosen from that era, but the rest of the storyline I absolutely love. Their relationship is the best part. This is my favorite Liam Neeson role. Really? I love the moment when he comes at the end of the film after the performance, when he just slams those doors open. He's like, fantastic. I don't know why. How supportive he was. I like good dads. I'm sorry.
There's nothing wrong with good dads.
I didn't have one, so I like good dad stories.
Listen, mine died when I was 5. So I mean, and my stepdad was not the greatest. That he did nothing do anything. He didn't do dad stuff. You know, he did some cool stuff. I mean, taught me about firearms. Was always taught me what he did was good, but it was there was never an emotional thing there is the thing.
Yeah.
And that
makes sense.
I understand that. But all right, so I understand. Good dad story, fine. But my point why it doesn't connect with me is still my point.
Just the age thing.
Yeah, it
is unbelievable that
a kid's story locked into an adult movie it breaks my concentration overall.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to skip past the scenes where the kid's going after the girl. It's like, it's just, come on. Also, here's why I find that a problem. They literally start the movie saying it's 2003 after 9/11. No little kids getting through airport security like that in 2003.
I was going to mention that. Yeah, that doesn't work. I mean, I don't know how quickly it got worldwide. If they would have filmed it in 2002, would that have gotten to British airports at that time yet?
All airports were on the era of air travel changed immediately.
I see. I don't remember 2001. I barely remember 2008. That's the first year I have any memory of. So I wasn't there to say, but I didn't know if maybe England was a step behind America or something.
Air travel changed instantly. What they made us do, the more power the TSA was given and other things. So air travel changed instantly, and it was in Western civilization. It was a little uniform. They became hardcore. You don't get. I mean, suddenly that's why I don't know how accurate it is. Or suddenly, if you don't have a boarding pass, you don't get through ticketing. You stop at security check unless you have a boarding pass. There's no more coming off the plane and saying hi and hugging. That hasn't happened for 20 years.
That's sad. Those scenes are great in old movies. I love seeing those.
Now you got to wait a baggage claim for the person you're waiting for. That is essentially as far as you can go. Or maybe when they come past security for the first time out of the gates, that's the first thing. But you're essentially waiting a baggage claim or close to baggage claim. So that kind of intimacy on travel return doesn't exist anymore or going. So maybe also I see that and I get pissed too, because this is one of the reasons I don't fly anymore. It's a nightmare. It's a pain in the ass. It's one of the reasons for one of the reasons, like when I do a lot of traveling, I change to slip-on shoes. So I don't have to tie my
I do that as well.
Yeah. Because, I mean, listen, I've traveled time. Do they still make you take your shoes off?
Sometimes. It depends on the scanners they have at that airport.
Okay.
And like what's on your ticket or whatnot.
See, I hated that because what I hated was, now this is me getting OCD nuts, because I don't like it if you're making me take my laptop out of my bag.
That's actually going away.
Well,
More than half.
Let me finish my OCD retarded story. I don't like it when you take all my valuables and everything I like out of my bag and put it in a thing where somebody's putting their goddamn shoes in the same thing a minute before. That's an expensive piece of technology, and somebody's dirty ass shoes were just in that container too. When I used to travel, I used to put a plastic bag over my laptop when they would make me take it out, so that I could just take it out and put it there, just so that I didn't feel like my laptop was contaminated by somebody who might have stepped in dog shit.
Makes sense.
That's how my brain works. You have to understand that. That's how my brain works.
No, it's a great thing to think about. I don't really try to think about stuff like that, but they have new scanners now where you don't really take anything out of your bag. They're not applied everywhere, so sometimes you still have to do it.
At the hub airports, I would assume they're at the hub airports most likely.
It depends. Sometimes they have a mix, like if you get lucky to be in the right line or something like that.
I live in New York, and your brain gets broken with watching disgusting shit and thinking, okay, that touched that touched that.
It's true.
And combine that with working in kitchens and having cross-contamination drilled into your brain. I'm a little broken up here. You have to understand that. But at least you'll know that when I make you food, my hands are the cleanest hands in the world.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Liam is going to say, so now I guess we come to Prime Minister Hugh Grant.
Probably one of my favorite storylines as well after
it's
Liam
the
Neeson's.
most solid one, except for Billy Bob Thornton, American president, being a dick.
It definitely gets the most screen time, I'd say. I feel pretty confident saying that storyline gets the most screen time.
Now, I think Hugh Grant is Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant's this is that era where Hugh Grant played the same type of happily befuddled character in every single movie.
I do have to say I haven't seen a whole lot of Hugh Grant films. Like I think he was in 4 Weddings and a Funeral. I've never seen that. His classic 90 films, I haven't seen many of them. I've never liked him in a movie. Like I've always disliked Hugh Grant, except for this film. I really like his character in this film, but I've never enjoyed.
I don't hate him, but I don't exactly love him. So I'm not jumping over.
You weren't a woman in the 90s.
You will also if you're a dude in the 90s and you say, "How could you cheat on Liz Hurley? What the frick is wrong with you?" And then he went on Jay Leno and was all silly about it, and everybody forgave him suddenly. But men of that era, there's a part of us that go, "We hate you. You had Liz Hurley at the beginning of her prime, and you just you cheated on her with a prostitute in the middle of nowhere."
Really?
Oh, Lord. Oh yeah, that's the thing. He got busted cheating on her with a hooker. And she's like, we don't know what Liz Hurley's like in real life, but still, it's Liz Hurley. She drinks the blood of little children to look as good as she does today. All right, so come on. Point is, I'm not in love with Hugh Grant. There was a period of time where he's essentially the same character in every movie, or the same behavior. Aw shucks, I'm a British gentleman, but I'm kind of goofy, but I smile and you forgive me. That's kind of the best way I can put it. But Prime Minister Hugh Grant, sure. I mean, listen, yeah, like we said earlier, I don't get the whole Natalie fat thing.
Oh yeah, like even her dad was calling her like what, chubby or something, like her nickname. But everyone called her fat. Yeah, no. and I didn't see it. Now, like they kept talking about her thighs, like thunder thighs, and like she's always wearing dresses. I can't see her thighs most of the time.
And she looked fine in full skirts and everything. It looked fine to me.
She looked attractive enough, not the most in the movie for my taste, but she's absolutely an attractive woman.
Yes, and listen, it's a sweet little story. It's not often that, as they say, that a world leader is single like that. So of course there's going on, and it's kind of sweet how they dance around it, and it takes the American president pulling a Bill Clinton to basically get him to sort of move forward, and the whole trying to rationalize the other. Now, one of my favorite parts is when he's going to go find her and he's going to everybody's doors. I thought that was done really well. And then
they did establish he knew where she lived.
Yeah, yeah.
He could have probably called his head of staff to get her exact
that's the
address,
thing.
though.
Now, my one problem with that whole scene is you're the prime minister. You can't make a call to get an address.
And that black lady who ran his staff, she absolutely knows the address or can look it up very easily. That's who I would have called. I mean, you did ask her to fire Natalie, so that might be embarrassing.
Well, not fire her, just move her to a different thing.
Yeah.
The way I interpret that, let's get her out of the main office.
Redistribute her.
Yeah. I don't think she was fired. Now, when he finally arrives at her home, I love how she had been early. It's a nice little completion of her little narrative of she tries to control herself, how she speaks, and when she comes at home, she's walking down the stair. Effity F my effing coat. I actually did laugh out loud at them.
That was a funny moment. I mean, that's what made her likable. Is when she was introduced, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck that up."
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of us would be thinking the same thing and might have slipped it out.
And so that whole thing is nice, and Hugh Grant's connection to the other characters of the story is done well through Emma Thompson and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And my only problem is making America the bad guy. I feel it was unnecessary.
We didn't need the Bill Clinton stand-in, because I do agree that seemed a lot like Bill Clinton.
Yeah,
we didn't need that. Like his whole big heroic speech showing he had balls. I would have done it a little bit more internal. Maybe there's someone with great influence in the country who's not actually the prime minister, but is used to having his way with the prime minister.
Yeah,
something like that. I think would have worked a lot better.
You didn't. And call it nationalistic pride, patriotism, whatever you want. I don't like it when, for no reason, America is made the bad guy. I mean, and this coming from a person who sees a lot of it done in Japanese anime all the time. America sometimes is made the big bad in something because it's very easy to make America the Bigfoot. But I don't appreciate it. I felt like there was no reason to do it here.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere and then disappeared as quickly.
Yeah, and so he can be celebrated in the first month of his prime minister term as this conquering hero who stood up to America and did it for the woman, I guess. And
we got it for the dance scene, though. That's what we got out of it. That was dumb.
Cringe as hell.
I'm fine with him dancing a little bit, but all through 10 Downing Street and there's nobody around until the end. I can't buy that.
And it culminates in her thinking they can find a safe spot to make out in during the lobster play, and then she gets busted. And that is at the end of it is a good moment. He says, "What do we do? What do we do?" He says, "Just smile and bow." And go. It's the essential idea of when shit like that happens, the only way to get through it, lean into it.
Yep,
lean into it. We
do
it
like it was on purpose.
Or whenever something like that happens. And as you guys know, like right here, I mean, make the gay jokes. We lean into them. Lean into the jokes. Run with it. The more you resist, the more you try and do damage control, the worse the situation gets, the worse the joke gets. So that is, to me, a great moment of, okay, that is how a solid politician would deal with that. Smile and bow. Because, hey, you just got caught making out with a hot chick and you're single. You're not an adulterer like Alan Rickman. There's nothing wrong with what he's doing. Is it a little odd? Yes. In that moment, with a bunch of kids on stage, you're making out backstage. Sure. Not the best place to do it. But
not technically wrong, though.
Not technically wrong. Just, have a little self-awareness of where you are. Control yourself.
I did like he tried to not steal the spotlight from the kids.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he had different reasons for it with Natalie, but he did say, this is about the kids. This is about their play. Everyone's going to be looking at me and my reactions if I'm visible.
There. Yeah. So, and in the end, they can actually, story-wise, there is a realistic reason for him to be here. My nephew's in the play. So I can, him being there is not an improper thing because he has family. He's not just showing up there with his hot date. No, he had his family was in the play. So it all comes together nicely, but it's a good little story. It's one of the ones that I think does hold the movie together.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Right. I think that's all of them.
That's all the storylines, I think. At least the major ones. There's probably a few little tiny scene ones, but
Well, scene ones. I mean,
yeah, we got the major
yeah,
storylines.
yeah.
But I do want to briefly talk about how all the storylines wrap up after Christmas. After all the storylines are relatively done, everyone shows up at the airport at the same time, either arriving or meeting someone who's arriving. And of course, the coincidences of this is absolutely insane. And not everyone going, "Hey, I know you, I know you, I know you." It's like these. They decided what their group was, and they're going to stick with their group.
Yeah.
But I really like that scene, especially when it transitions into the real footage, because at the beginning and the end of the film, they actually sent a film crew to Heathrow, and those are all real reactions of people hugging each other, saying hi to their family members. Of course, they got permission after they recorded. It's like, "Hey, can you sign this release form? We want to use this in the film." But those are all real. And that's the emotional heart of the film, I think. And I really appreciate that, because it's a positive message. This film, as much as its plot doesn't make sense, as much as I won't disagree with that, anything Adam says, a lot of my enjoyment is entirely subjective. I do think it has positive things to say about the world, about Christmas, and just it's trying to be upbeat. It's trying to look past all the horrible things in the world and just say, hey, love is all around, and Christmas is a great time to be with your loved ones. It's simple, it's straightforward, but I think it, accomplishes that, especially with the actual interactions at Heathrow. Because if the world were as dark as it's portrayed to be, they wouldn't have been able to get that footage very easily. But they got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos of people at Heathrow. Like, it wasn't a big thing. They were shocked. They talked about, we thought we'd have a film crew going there day after day after day on big events and stuff like that through the entire filming process. They got that footage very easily, way easier than they thought possible.
I'm a little surprised.
I find that very positive and uplifting. And that's the thing with this film. I smile through the whole thing. I enjoy these storylines, especially in Liam Neeson's. That's the one that stands above the rest for me. And it's a happy place film for me. I understand why people don't like the characters. Some of them make terrible decisions.
Yeah.
But it feels real to me. I think those terrible decisions are on purpose, because yes, love is all around, but there are still people who make mistakes, and they feel real to me, even with all their mistakes, even with their unlikable qualities. Not everyone is likable. And that's the point of the film. In a normal movie, I would criticize these type of things like you are, but it feels like that was the point, and that's not going to work for everyone. Totally understand that, but it has a unique point going into it, and that all lends to the decisions made, I believe.
I understand everything you're saying. I just still don't like it.
No, I get it. I hated it for the first 3 quarters of the first time I saw it. I totally understand.
Yeah. All right. I guess we're done. The soundtrack is just Christmas music and stuff. There's nothing outrageous in that.
Except for Christmas is All Around. What do you think of the actual song? Was it crap?
It's retarded. It's retarded. But Bill Nye is still the best thing in that movie for me, because it's just unapologetically that character. That character is that's the thing. My most popular thing. All right.
I love the moment when he said, kids are listening. Okay, well, hey kids, don't buy drugs. Become a pop star, and they'll give you them for free.
Gives no shits to give. All right,
so you don't think he was gay with his manager?
No, he was not. Friend. He was not gay. He wasn't gay. He was.
He does love him though.
It's his best friend. It's his
a lot of people think it's gay, especially with the whole Elton John thing.
I don't. He says, I was surrounded by naked, willing women, and I came here. He was very straight. He's straight. He's not gay. God damn it. Not everything's gay. Queerdos. Anyway, it's your week. You get to go first on the score.
All right. Well, I do agree that there is a ton of plot issues with this film. A lot of contrivances that go beyond what the film's premise justifies. And some of the dialogue isn't great. I think all the performances are sound. And divorcing the absolute love I have for this film, because if it was just about my enjoyment, this would be a 9 out of 10. I always smile through it. I have to stop whatever I'm doing when it's on and just enjoy. I can't multitask with this film. I love it that much, but there are genuine objective flaws with it. And I think it's very fair to say that this film is a 6 out of 10.
Oh, wow. It's one of those rare occasions where your score is higher than mine. As I said early on, all the positives for me in this are the performances and the production value. It looks great. It sounds great. It flows well. Even though you're jumping back and forth between all the different stories, like you said, it's a bunch of short films mashed together for a couple of hours. But that couple of hours feels very long to me because I don't like these characters. I like 3 of them, maybe 4. And I'm not really rooting for anybody. And also, I will say it, I kind of didn't say this, there's too many people in this movie.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. Cut some storylines.
This cast is, yes, like you said when we started this is a packed cast of top-tier British actors and a few B-level at the time English American actors. And there's just it was too much. Too many people. So that also drags on it for me. And in the end, I'm just not having fun because I'm not rooting for anybody. Maybe if it had been pared down to 4 stories where there's more meat on the bone and you can make me root or hate right like you're supposed to, then maybe I get more involved. But I have no attachment. When I don't have attachment, I have a hard time finding full enjoyment, whether or not it hits. And I don't disagree with anything you just said. It hits all those proper marks of positivity and realism and just to most extent. But the fact that it's a shotgun approach of all these different characters, it's too much for me. And I'm not engaging enough. So for me, 4 out of 10.
That low for you.
Yeah. The performances and the production value are what got me that high. Because I respect everybody did a great job. I don't have a problem. Nobody phoned it in. And that with that many people, somebody could have phoned it in very easily with that many people. But even the worst stories that I didn't like Depressed Lady, that's still the performance is still solid. It's still good. I could feel her misery, and I don't like it. Anyway, there you go. It's another one in the books. And next week I'm making up for it because I've been wanting to do this one. This one's been on the books for a while, as has our guest for it. So next week, we will be joined by our good friend Static 2024. Hook. Takes place at Christmas. You know, that's all I need. And hey, it has Christmas Miracle all over it, man. That movie has Christmas Miracle all over it.
And it's so family-oriented. Alone.
And you want to talk about a cast. Man. So we are going to watch.
Yeah, Mario's in it.
Huh?
Mario's in it.
Stop. Just stop. R.I.P. Bob Hoskins. But stop. Just stop. No, we don't talk about that movie. God damn, that movie.
I've never seen it.
Oh, you don't need to. I would never make you watch that. That's something somebody would make you watch on like a watch.
That's too far.
No, that movie is horrendous. It's horrendous. Anyway, so we are done, and we'll be a little earlier next week, 3 p.m. Eastern. 3 p.m. Eastern, a little early because it's a holiday. We're getting rid of holiday stuff, so we're a little earlier. So join us for that. We're going to have a great time, and then we'll be on break the following weekend due to traveling and stuff like that. Either way it goes, thank you, everybody. Across both the channels, we appreciate you all. Hit those like buttons, subscribe, and if we don't see you before then, Merry Christmas, everybody. Good night.